Hey everyone, it's Joelle here, and I am doing the mid-year book freakout tag. I was not tagged by anybody, but this has been going around BookTube, so I thought it might be appropriate if I joined in on it and let you know what was going on with me. So yeah, I have completed 32 books so far, which is phenomenal for me. I have a Goodreads goal of 50 for the year. I think that's quite doable. 31 of the 32 were audiobooks, just because, it's something that I've discovered is a little bit easier for me, specifically because I listen to them before I go to sleep or I listen to them on my lunch break at work. Also, I can put one on in the background while I'm creating artwork, so it just makes it a little bit easier for me to do an audiobook versus a physical book. Also, now that I have my LASIK, I got my eye surgery completed, it may make it easier to read physical books. Before it wasn't as easy, so haven't really been cracking open the physical ones in a while, so yeah. But anyways, so let's go ahead and get started with this book, and I'm going to tag the original creators of the tag. There were two booktubers that created it, so I'll put their videos in the description. Also, I'm going to do something a little different, and I'm going to put down a list of all of the makeup that I'm wearing on my face in the description box, because I do get a lot of questions about makeup. This used to be a makeup channel, so if you guys are wondering, how it's been around for 10 years, and that's why. So anyway, let's just go for it. So first question is, what is the best book that you read so far in 2019? This is one I actually just recently completed, and that's A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay. This is a story of a girl named Mary, and when she was little, her older sister Marjorie went through an exorcism, and her parents decided to partner with a television production company, and it was turned into a reality TV show. And we are following Mary years later, and she is working with an author to tell the story all over again from her perspective and what really happened, and turning it into just kind of like a memoir kind of book. So I really loved it. I have never really been a fan of possession or haunted house stories or anything like that, but I think the way that Paul Tremblay wrote this was just so good. And listening to the audiobook of it, the narrator just did a really fantastic job. So I definitely recommend the audiobook if you're into horror or anything possession related or exorcism related. This is definitely a good one to pick up. Number 2, what is the best sequel that you read? So I chose Down Among the Sticks and Bones, which is part of the Wayward Children series. This is the second book that came out, and this is by Seanan McGuire, who is also writes under the pen name of Mira Grant. This story follows some of the characters from the first book, and just their origin story of how they became who they were. And if you're not familiar, the Wayward Children series is kind of like Miss Peregrine meets, what did I compare it to? Like Lion, Witch, and Wardrobe. Essentially all these like outcast children who have found doorways to other worlds. They come back and they need a place to live, so they live at this school for wayward children. So I really, really liked this one because it was dark, and I really love the character of Jack. Jack's definitely my favorite character. It's a she. But yeah, so Down Among the Sticks and Bones was my favorite sequel. Number 3, a new release that you haven't read but want to. Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. I have been loving Riley Sager books. Anna actually purchased me the book, but my mom is borrowing it currently at the moment. My mom reads a book a day. So she has it, but I found that they have the audiobook on Scribd, so I'm going to be listening to the audiobook of it, even though I technically have a physical copy of it. Next is the most anticipated release in the second half of the year. Definitely Turn the Key by Ruth Ware. I love Ruth Ware books. I love Claire McIntosh and Lexi Elliott, and basically any thriller that's written in the UK, just give it all to me. And Ruth Ware has one coming out at the end of the year. Number 5, what was the biggest disappointment? Vox by Christina Doucher was one of them. I had actually done a full review of it, which I'll try and link down in the description box if I forget for some reason. If you just scroll through my past videos, it's one of the first ones that's posted. This was supposed to be kind of like a Handmaid's Tale, where the women are only allowed to speak 100 words a day, and if they go beyond that, then they get basically electrocuted because they have these little bracelets on it. And it's about a woman who is one of the women, and she's a scientist, but they actually need her help to help cure this disease, so they allow her to have more words and so on and so forth. You can find out more of it in my review. Number 6, biggest surprise. And this was a tough one to choose because surprise could be good or bad. I went with a what the fuck surprise, and that was Oryx and Crake. And I say, what the fuck? I have no idea what the heck that what that book was about. It was so freaking weird. Oryx and Crake, it's a series, and it's written by Margaret Atwood, who wrote The Handmaid's Tale. So that one was just so weird that I just kind of was like, huh? So yeah, Oryx and Crake. The next one is a favorite new author or a new to you debut author. So I chose one that's new to me, and that's definitely Paul Tremblay. Mentioned him before with A Head Full of Ghosts. I've also listened to the audiobook of Cabinet at the End of the World. And then I just finished the Growing Things and Other Stories short story book, and I freaking loved it. I did the audiobook of that, and there's so many different narrators, and there is one story that was so good, and it's basically about people who do dog walking, like WAG dog walking services, and how they, you know how when you, I don't know if anybody knows this, but when you go and you have one of these services, they leave you like a little report card and stuff. So these people that are walking the dogs are leaving these long ass stories. One of them's like a super environmentalist, hippie kind of chick. One of them's like a big burly guy that's just like super down to earth. And then there's like this weird other person who kind of snoops around the house and like, it's just really weird. But I loved that story. It was so good. So yeah, Paul Tremblay is becoming like my new favorite. I give 100% credit to the Books in the Freezer podcast, Stephanie. She seems to have all the good book recommendations that I love. So yeah, that's my new favorite author for this year. Number 8, new fictional crush. Okay, who gets crushes on characters in books? You know, I'm not a stay-at-home mom who reads 50 Shades of Grey and fantasizes about all the sex scenes. No, people don't. No, I feel like this question, almost every single person that I watched their video was like, no. So skip that one. Number 9, newest favorite character. Going back to Head Full of Ghosts, and I have to say, so there, Mary, who is the main character of A Head Full of Ghosts, she writes under a pen name of Karen Brissett for a blog called The Last Final Girl. The blog is freaking hilarious, and I love her. Just like, I just feel like Karen Brissett and I would be really good friends, even though it's technically Mary. So, and that's like something that's common knowledge, so I'm not spoiling anything. But yeah, there you go. Karen Brissett, you my fave. Book that made you cry is the next question. I actually didn't have any. The last book that I cried in was Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, where I was like hysterically sobbing because it was so good. But I haven't really read anything that's hit the emotional strings. Number 11, book that made you happy. Definitely the Wayward series books. There's a couple of characters that are really quirky and silly, and I found myself literally laughing out loud. But also, it's just like, because the books are so short, they're like kind of like novellas, and they're just fun little like different little stories and everything about all these different characters. And Seanan McGuire, Mira Grant writes so good that yeah, I just really enjoyed them. All right, so number 12, most beautiful book that you bought or received. This was a tough one because I have a lot of books that I've purchased, received, been gifted, whatever the circumstance is. So like, I really like this cover. Not saying that it's beautiful, but I think it's really like just interesting. Like I would look at this and be like, ooh, what is this? I like that it has this plastic overlay. It's just very interesting to me because underneath you have these blurry people faces. So I think that's really cool. I'm more of like, rather than beautiful, I just like really interesting covers. I'm trying to find, like this one was super intriguing when I bought it, which is why I bought it. And it's actually a signed copy. I mean, look at the floral. They're like thistle thorns. It is signed. So I just like really interesting eye-catching covers more so than like beautiful covers. Again, that one's not really like interesting or anything. This book I used to pass like all the time in Barnes & Noble, and then I finally was like, all right, I have to have this. It was wicked cheap. Yeah, I mean, it's like a Wiccan star or whatever, but yeah, that's cool. You know, there's just a lot of like really pretty covers. Not pretty, but just very visually stimulating covers. I mean, this one's really pretty. I love purple, so yay. I've got so much of a book backup that it's not even funny, so yeah. And that leads me to the last question. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? This whole section right here, actually no, I finished this one. Record of a Spaceborne Feud. This was also slightly disappointing. This is the third book in the series of, I don't know what they call this series. I forgot, but Becky Chambers' books. I was like so disappointed by this book. Yeah, but this section here, I mean, I've got Gray Sister, but not Red Sister because, you know, me being dumb. Renegades, that's a cool cover. You know, this one I could probably whip up really quickly because it's short. Oh, I know what I wanted to say. You know, whoa, I like big books and I cannot lie. I dropped my bookmark. Shit, everything is falling. Oh my God. You know what book I need to finish? Freaking Vengeful. This is the cover for it. I need to get this done. I've been reading that forever. The other book is The Mermaid. I'm buddy reading that with Cody. I'm failing with that. I got like 75 pages in and stopped. Physical books have just been such a struggle for me. Oh, you know which one I really, really want to read? Slayer. If you guys don't know, I have a Buffy the Vampire Slayer obsession. I'm going to, and I keep saying this, I'm going to reorganize and film a Buffy the Vampire Slayer collection video. Definitely let me know if you want to see that. I know Bobby does, but Slayer is one of the books I want to read for sure. So yeah, I've got like a whole shit ton of books I gotta read. This is my TBR jar, which I've decided that I've written all the books that I have in here. So as soon as I finish one, I'm gonna pull a new one and just kind of go with it instead of doing like a whole list of them. I'm getting ready to, I had mentioned before, I'm going to start Lock Every Door today on audio, but that's pretty much it. So I don't tag anybody. I just want everybody to do the tag, and so I can just watch it and it'll just show up in my feed because, you know, that's how I roll. Random, my dad bought me this Dustin Funko from Stranger Things and this Max Funko. I have to say Dustin's my favorite character. How about that moment when he sings the Never Ending Story song? I died. I love that freaking video. I watch it over and over and over again. I posted it on my Facebook so I could watch it all the time. But yeah, any other Never Ending Story fans? That was like one of my favorites as a kid. So yeah, like I said before, social media links will be in the description box. If you want to know where I got my t-shirt, it's Only Human, which is a company that I'm a brand ambassador for. Amazing, great people, great t-shirts. They go towards a great cause. My makeup will be listed in the description, so if you want to see this face. Yeah, but anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye.